Okay, hi 7th period. We've already started our unit on radical functions, and the first thing I had you do were to review the laws of exponents. Just because that really helps you to have a foundation of that before we start this unit. So what you see here, and I actually think I took out the black boxes because I think it will be helpful to have these numbers, but this is the only hard copy I have. So on your copy, these numbers will all be taken out, and I'd like you to fill out the whole thing. This is extremely, extremely helpful when you are simplifying radicals and doing all of those good things. This will be a really great resource, and if we were in school right now in class, I would actually allow this to be used on all your quizzes and tests. You do need a calculator to fill this all out. I will explain what a radical is in the next unit, in the next notes video lesson, but for right now all I ask of you is for you to fill this out. I will do a couple for you so that you could see the importance of parentheses in your calculator and how to properly fill this out. And it seems like a lot of work, especially since these boxes will be there for you to fill those out too. But I do want you to really take your time with this, because if this is wrong, then your reference for everything else is wrong moving forward. I have my TI-84 calculator here, so I will actually show you how I'm entering all of these in. You don't need this calculator here. A lot of you could find something on your phone that's similar, or you could just use a basic calculator or your computer. Just make sure that you are entering them in properly. So all these columns mean is that we're going to take some number that's, let's see, hold on, to autofocus this. Okay, so what you see here are two tables, and the only difference is that these are positive numbers on this side and negative numbers on this side. Do not assume that these two are exactly alike. So what I mean by that is don't fill out this entire table and then assume that this entire table looks exactly alike. There's some similarities. Some columns will be the same, and we'll talk about why, but some columns will be different. So make sure that you are actually entering all the values in. There is a shortcut. I'm also going to show you that. So you can do this manually, which means you literally fill in one box at a time, or you can use the function on your calculator. If it has a table function, you could do, there's a little bit of a shortcut to this. If you don't have a TI-83 calculator or 84, you could still use this shortcut function if you use Desmos. So let's start. So these columns here just means that I am taking some number and squaring it. I am taking some number and cubing it. I am taking some number or numbers and taking them to the 4th power. I'm taking some numbers to the 5th power, and I'm taking numbers to the 6th power in this column. Same thing here, so that is the same. What numbers are we using? Oh no, come on. Okay. This hates me today. Let's see. Okay, so I actually put it on a lock mode, so I'm hoping that this is how it stays like this. So the numbers that we are raising to the 2nd power and raising to the 3rd power are all these numbers here. So in this row, I am using 1 in place of x. I'm going to write a little more in the box. All you have to write is the number. But in this case, I am taking 1 and I am squaring it. And the number 1 rule we say when we are using exponents is that whatever you are raising to some power, you have to put that number in parentheses. So in my calculator, I need to, you can either fill out row by row or you can fill out column by column. So x squared means I am taking 1 and I am squaring it. So here I am in my calculator, and I said everything you raise to a power put in parentheses. So I need to take the 1 and I'm going to square it. 1. And now I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to square it. That's a 4. If I want to do this box, this means I'm going to take the 1, but I'm going to cube it. if I did a random box like this one down here, let's do this one. This says take 10 and raise it to the 5th power. So 10 raised to the 5th power. It's actually 10 multiplied by itself 5 times, so it makes sense that you see 5 zeros there. So 100,000. So I only want you to put the values that you get in your calculator here, and I will post the filled out version, like this one here. But I do, despite you having the filled out version, it is really powerful to do this on your own, because at the bottom here of the worksheet, if you notice, there's some questions. So, and I do want you to think about those. And I will post an assignment for today on how I want you to answer those questions. So remember, there are some vocab words. In the question below, I see a question that has the word base value. Doesn't matter if the base value is even or odd. So base value refers to these numbers right here. These are your base values in the column. And also I see something in bold called power. Power is the exponent right here. These are all powers. So squared power, cubed power, 4th power, 5th power, 6th power. So when you fill this out, I want you to answer those questions and think about that. I'll probably make you answer those questions on Google Classroom today. So what is the shortcut? Because you could enter all of these like I did on my calculator. I'll actually do a negative one for you. I'll do negative 4 to the 2nd power squared. So negative 4 squared gives me a positive 16. And I think this is really important because I use parentheses here. But if I had not, with no parentheses, this says negative 16. That is incorrect. Your calculator is actually performing order of operations. It's squaring the 4. Because in PEMDAS, exponents comes first, and then it is multiplying by an invisible negative 1. The negative sign's not invisible, but the 1 is. So this is incorrect. Your calculator is actually doing this. And that's not right. We're actually squaring a negative 4. We're not squaring just a 4. So please make sure. This is a prime example of why parentheses are so important when you're using this. I'm going to show you the shortcut now. So if you happen to have a TI 83 or 84, something that you can utilize these features up here, the y equals and the table and the calculator and the graph. If you have a calculator that does that, you can use the shortcut. If you don't, you can also use Desmos.com. We've worked with that before, and you can look at you can enter the same thing into Desmos and get a table. So I will show you what the shortcut is for this. So you are going to, you don't have to clear this out, I will, but you're going to go to the y equals button right here. And I have some stuff in here right now, so I want to make sure that it's all cleared out because it's kind of going to mess with my numbers. And I'm going to scroll down to make sure that nothing else is filled out. Okay, so it looks like it's all cleared. Go back up to the top. Also, see these words, plot 1, plot 2, plot 3. If any of them are shaded in, it probably will give you an error. So you want to make sure that none of them are shaded in, which means if your calculator looks like that and one of the words is shaded in, make sure you unshade it. And the only way to do that is to scroll up so that it's blinking over the word and press enter. And every time you press enter, you're either shaded in or unshaded. So in my graph, in my y equals function right now, I want this whole column filled out for me, so I am going to put x squared at the top. What's at the top here, I'm going to put that in my calculator, x squared, just like how I see it. So this is a table. You actually want your calculator to give you a table. So I'm going to press, the table is in blue, so I have to press the blue button first. And what you see are x values here and then y values. X values are these numbers right here. So I can actually get all these numbers. So my first one is, this is a 1, so it squared the 1 and got 1. Then when x is 2, if you square that 2, you get 4. That's right here. My next number is 3. If I square a 3, I get 9. So if I square a 3, I get 9. So what I could do is I could just use my table and fill these out all the way down. I'm going to keep filling them out because that means that all of those numbers were actually squared. Excuse me. So if you want the shortcut for the negative side too, all you have to do is scroll up on your table, because right now my numbers are getting bigger. If I want to see the negative numbers, the negative x values, I'll just scroll up. There it is. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 2, if I square it, my calculator is squaring them because I told the calculator I want all my x's squared. When I put them in here, all my x's are being squared. That's giving me a y. So if I square a negative 2, I get 4. Negative 3 squared is 9. Oops. Negative 4 squared is 16. So you could either do this to check, or you can use your calculator to actually fill this whole thing out. If you want to move on to the next column, you just go back to y equals. I would only do one at a time. You're going to put x and raise it to the power of 3. And you're going to do the same thing. Second table, and now you have all your values here. So you are actually going to fill all of these out in this table. That's going to be your first lesson for today, because you are going to find out how useful this is in the next lesson that I post. And then your homework will be to answer these questions. And it's really just looking for patterns here and comparing things. So that is your lesson for today. Check back, and I will post our first lesson on radical functions soon and let you know what the assignment is here. There will be a lot of delta math, but right now this is just an introduction. This is just something we're going to fill out that you're going to be able to use the entire time we're working in this unit. Okay, see you soon.